Now, welcome. My
Welcome.
name. Kindly switch off your microphone. The class has started officially, and as you can see at your top left corner, the session is being recorded. As you can see from the top left corner of your screen, the session is being recorded. Kindly switch off your microphone. Ukipiga kelele unapigia watu wote kelele, including, it's just like a physical class. So when you're ensure that even when you are when you're about to join a class, the environment that you are in is conducive. Usiwe unatoka hapo unaenda town, gari imejaa kelele, music full blast, hapo ndio unang'ang'ana kuingia online na kuvaa earphones. Sasa hausikii kitu. That's not learning. For you to learn, you have to ensure that the environment, first of all, is clear and conducive for you to learn. Secondly, you must ensure that you have internet, enough internet. Na si ile ya kubahatisha. Internet ambayo ni enough. Ensure that you have enough internet. Thirdly, ensure that your gadget is compatible to the software that you are using. I'm using Zoom. The reason why I'm using Zoom is because I think it can accommodate as many people as many people as possible, as opposed to the one that we have in the portal. So ensure that your machine is compatible to your to the software that is Zoom. And also ensure that you have a pen and a pencil. Somebody is telling me to increase the volume. I hope you can hear me. I will just increase the volume on my machine, not any other. I am saying that ensure that you have the best, a good gadget that can accommodate the software that you are using, that is Zoom. Ensure also that you have enough bundles, and ensure that the environment that you are in is conducive for learning. Usiwe una travel, unatoka hapa unaenda Kisumu, unatoka Nairobi unaenda Kisumu, gari umepanda iko na kelele, music imewekwa full blast, na unang'ang'ana kunisikiza. The best thing you can do is switch off that particular gadget and sit down and wait for the recording, because you are lying to yourself that you're in class. That's another thing. And also, I want all of you to ensure that you join your class on time, because I know those who are coming late will be the one asking me, please teacher, repeat what you said. That one I will not repeat. I will not repeat. I will only repeat for clarification purpose, or maybe you want to understand a certain point. But telling me now, Mwalimu, I've joined late, kindly repeat everything. No, I will not do that. I will not do that. So ensure that you join your class early. It will not, it's not harmful if you join a class, the first one, or if you join this particular class and you are number one, it is not harmful. So what I'm going to do, I will be uploading the recording once we are done with class, not immediately, because I'm done. Once I'm done with this class, it needs to convert. Then after converting, I have to upload it in YouTube. So it will take like, if I took 1 hour to teach the class, it will take like 3 hours. So maybe tomorrow, or maybe around 5 or 6 p.m. That's when you will see the recording. But immediately, forget about immediately, because there are some processes that we need to go through for a recording to be posted on that particular platform, or on the platform. So ensure that you, make sure that you abide by the guidelines. Now I want to start my class. My name is David Maina. For those who don't know me, I'm in the Department of Media Arts and Design, and I have been in ZTech for many years. Since it became a university. When it was a college, I was still in ZTech, and I've been teaching. So you can calculate the number of years that I've worked for ZTech. Before I came to ZTech, I was working in various universities. I was working for Moi University and another college called also Kenya Institute of Professional Studies. So a long time ago. Now I want to start the class unless you have a question. Again, one thing I would want to tell you is that after every class, after every class that I will be teaching you, there will always be a discussion forum, and there will always be an activity, a quiz. There will always be a discussion forum and a quiz. And you cannot mark your register if you don't finish the quizzes. Now I've given you the right to do what? To mark your register. But you will only mark the register once you are done with what? You are done doing the discussion forum, and once you are done doing the quiz. That is when the system will allow you to tick your register. I hope we are okay with that. So you have to do the quiz, and you have to do the quiz and the discussion forum for the register to open for you. The register will require a password, so it will give you a password. Not me giving you the password. It is the system that will give you a password that will input. Then you tick today's register and you say that I was present. Something like that. If you cannot complete those activities, forget about the register. And remember, the university rule is that you have to attain at least 75% for you to do an exam. So usiniambie mwalimu ninakujanga klasi yako kila siku, lakini hakuna activity hata moja uliwahi fanya. That way, wewe na yule mwenye alikuwa absent, you are on the same boat. So I don't want to waste much time. I'll be giving guidelines as I continue. So today we are starting this particular unit. We are starting this particular lesson. We are starting this particular course with topic number 1. We are starting this particular course with topic number 1. Last week I waited and nobody showed up. I think there was only one lady from PHRM who joined, and I told her that she waits and we see whether we can have a quorum so that we can start. So none of you joined. We wanted to go through the course outline, but now I cannot go through the course outline because it will be wastage of time. So the course outline is there. You can download the course outline as many times as you wish, and you can go through what is there. You can go through what is there. And the reason as to why we give course outline is for you also to go ahead and read before the teacher. Read ahead, so that when we come for that particular topic, you will be having questions that need to be asked. You will even be understanding, you will easen your understanding of what we are going to learn or what we'll be learning at that particular time. So the course outline is there. Make sure that you download the course outline, go through it, and plan yourself. So I want to start today's topic, and I want to start by sharing my screen. So I will share my screen. But before I share my screen, I want us to start with asking ourselves, what is public relations? What is PR? Somebody can tell us what is public relations. You just lift your hand. There is an icon there. You lift your hand and you tell us, public relation is this and this and that. Only pick 3 people if no one is lifting his or her hands. I'm checking whether to see whether there is anybody lifting his hand. I've not seen any. I've not seen any. Yes, there is one. You know, I'm only seeing your registration number. If you are the one, DHM 011434. Tell us, what is PR?
It's the state of the relationship between a company and others.
Somebody else. Nduku Felicia, what is public relation? This is a DTM student, Diploma in Tourism Management. Nduku Felicia. Unajua unapoongeleshwa na hata haujibu, hiyo inaonyesha ya kwamba wewe ni mtu ambaye amekosa nidhamu. You are very rude. If somebody talks to you and you don't respond, it shows that you are very rude. Now let's have DCMS 011054. DCMS 011054.
So public relations refers to the variety of activities that is conducted by a company, sometimes in order to protect its image or its products.
Good. Now let's have the HM 01007.
Okay, it is the study of human environment and its behavior.
There is also, DCMS 8170, DHRM, Diploma in Human Resource Management.
It is a relationship between communication of an organization and its public.
Thank you. Now, when you talk about public relations, thank you for those who have taken the initiative to answer. When you talk about public relations is simply relating to the publics, Or maybe we can start by saying this, that PR has been defined differently by different scholars. It has been defined differently by various scholars. So I wanted to start with the definition first. Although the definition comes in between, I wanted to start with the definition first. So it has been defined differently. Let me share my screen by different scholars. Some of the scholars, I hope you can see my screen, is Frank Jeffkins. If you go to the library and ask for a book, Public Relations book by Frank Jeffkins, it is there. It is a green book. It's a green book, a very nice book. I think that is the one that I used when I was in college, just like you. So when you talk about PR, it has been defined by Frank Jeffkins and Daniel Yadin. Actually, Frank Jeffkins is late Frank Jeffkins and Daniel Yadin. And they say that PR consists of all forms of planned communication, outward and inwards, between an organization and its publics. For the purposes of doing what? For the purposes of achieving specific objectives concerning mutual understanding. So in other words, public relations is the relationship between the organization and the publics for the purposes of creating a mutual understanding. Mutual understanding is mutual, something that is mutual happens between two people. It cannot happen within one person. It is between two people. So when you talk about publics, they do not mean just people. Public is a group of people. But these groups of people are classified into various categories. Like, for example, we have the media. Media is a public of public relations. We have the community. The community is another group that is known as publics. And we call them publics of public relations. We also have suppliers. We also have distributors. And we also have people like consumers. We also have stakeholders. We also have trade unions. We also have all those are what we call the public. So when Jeffkin is talking about it consists of all forms of planned communication outward and inward between an organization and its publics. The publics are the groups of people. And these groups of people are either classified as either internal publics or external publics. Internal publics are those within the organization. For example, an employee. An employee is an internal public. Somebody like the CEO. The CEO is an internal public of an organization. External publics are those that are outside the organization, but there is what we call a mutual relationship. And in this mutual relationship, there must be mutual understanding. I like this statement by the Mexican statement. I only look at two statements by Frank Jeffkins and the Mexican statement. Frank Jeffkins and Mexican statement, because the Mexican statement says it all. It tells us all, or it tells it all. So I'm going to look at the Mexican statement and Frank Jeffkins' definition. Every other definition borrows from the Mexican statement. So in Mexican statement, they said that public relation consists. Kindly, that person whose microphone is on, switch it off. So the Mexican statement, we are saying that it says this, that PR practice is the art and social science of analyzing trends, predicting their consequences, counseling organization leaders, and implementing planned program of action, of which action which will serve both the organization and public interest. Now, I want us to stop there. Now, I want us to go through every word that the Mexican statement has said. Why am I going through every word? Because I want you to understand. So, the Mexican statement says this: it is the art and social science. It is the art and social science. When something is an art, it is something that requires your skills. Anything that is an art is anything that requires your skills to solve, or that requires your skills or the input of your skills. And anything that is a science, it is something that requires a specific or a certain procedure, or a certain procedure, or a systematic procedure for you to solve. So they are saying it is an art and a science, a social science of, number one, analyzing trends. What is a trend? A trend is the way things are moving. It is analyzing the path through which the organization is going. Why are we analyzing the trends? I'm thinking of a company, for example, I'm thinking of a company of maybe a company or maybe a hotel. Say, for example, Hilton Hotel, or say, for example, Safaricom, or say, for example, Citizen. I'm thinking of a company of the sort. And maybe, for example, you manufacture products. Suppose it is a hotel, Hilton Hotel. The kind of food that you give your customers. We need to analyze how things goes. Once you analyze the trends, you are analyzing the trends so that you can predict their consequences. You are analyzing a trend so that you can predict a consequence. For example, It can be a company that manufactures coffee. And people are talking about, or they have got a negative attitude towards your coffee. Or maybe maybe it is what we call a maize meal or a flour, a maize flour. People have found maggots in your maize flour. So you analyze the trend, that trend, then you predict the consequences. Who is doing all this? It is the PR officer, public relations officer. Once you predict the consequences, then maybe you are telling them the way you are doing your own things, this one, you might be able to do what? You might find problems in future. The way you are packaging your products, you might find problem in future. The way you are handling customers and the way you are telling them to do this might bring problems in future. So you are predicting, you are analyzing those trends, and you start now predicting the consequences of the way things are being done on the ground. Then once you predict the consequences, you sit down with the leaders, the owner of the organization, the communication experts in that particular organization. You counsel them that the way you are doing things, you're not supposed to do them like this. This is how you're supposed to do it. You counsel them. Why are you counseling them? You are counseling them so that the consequences that you predicted will not impact on them. So once you counsel the organization leaders, then they will give you, or they will implement your planned programs of action. They implement it so that they are not, so that in future they may not do what? They may not encounter those consequences. And why are you doing this? You are doing this for the sake of the public and the organization. Remember, the publics are the people outside the organization. And we have said that the public can be divided into two, either internal or external. Internal publics are those working within the organization or those within the organization, and the external publics are the people like the media. These are the people like the community. These are the people like the consumer, the distributors, the stakeholders, the trade unions. All those are what we call the external publics. So the reason as to why you are predicting the consequences, the consequences and counseling organizational leaders and implementing the planned program of action is to serve the organization and the public interest. So therefore, I can move to the first thing, to the first topic. The first thing to know is to understand the definition of public relations. Any question? Afadhali unapouliza swali, usiniwekee chat. Usiniwekee chat. Inakuwa vigumu sana kuangalia hizo charts. Inakuwa vigumu kuangalia hizo charts, and I'm still projecting something and I'm still explaining something. Yeah? So it becomes very difficult. So that is the definition of public relations. And therefore we start with asking ourselves, what are the roles of public relations in an organization? Now that we have known what public relations is, now that we have known that public relations is the art and science of creating and maintaining mutual understanding between the organization and the public. Now, what are their roles? So when you look at so many organizations nowadays, currently, there is what we call increased need of PR to be treated as an important management discipline. Nowadays, by the way, if you're looking for a job, maybe you are looking for those people who are doing media. If you're looking for a job, a communication job, you're going to realize that they are asking you to have, that the candidate must have at least a diploma in public relations. Even those who are in the service industries, like the hotels, you'll find that they are asking for diploma in public relations or a degree in public relations. Why? Because there is that increased need. And many organizations are taking that particular discipline, which is public relations, they are taking it seriously. If you go to many organizations, you will realize that there is a department for public relations, PR department. Why do we have PR department? PR department is to handle the public. Like, for example, the media people. In case of anything in your organization, the first people to get there is the media. Media is classified as a public. If you mistreat them, and then these people called the media people, they will want to know what happened. Who will be the person in charge of speaking to the media people? It's the public relations practitioner. Whenever you are coming up with an event, those people who are doing diploma in hospitality management, DHM, we usually have events, and maybe you'll be called upon to provide food for in that particular event. You need a public relations officer to help you know how you're going to conduct yourself. So therefore, we are saying every organization needs public relations. There was a book I was reading of public relations. I think it is Catlip. Catlip was saying that PR is like the air that we breathe in. We cannot decide to have it or not to have it. Like now, you cannot decide, today I'm not going to breathe. I'm going to take 24 hours without breathing. My friend, you will die. The same case with PR. It is like the air that we breathe in, and you cannot decide to have it or not to have it. The way you dress and the way you speak, it communicates more about you. That is public relations. So PR is a communication discipline. So we are told that PR is also used, we are saying that there is an increased need for PR to be treated as an important management discipline, and one which is, if allowed to do so, can play a very important strategic role in managing organization relationships. I've given an example of, in case of anything, in case you want even to advertise yourself, in case the president goes to Hilton Hotel, the people who follows the president mostly is the media personnel. And maybe you have a PR department. The people who will be dealing with the media is the PR managers in that particular department. So it helps in managing organizational relationships with those external and internal stakeholders. So we have looked at the definition. So I'm moving to something else. And we are saying that however a number of common themes can be distilled from review of the various definitions of PR that have been offered. So these are things that you get from the definitions that we have read. There are so many definitions below here. You can see definition from the British Institute of PR, definition, Frank Jeffkin, definition, the Mexican statement, all those. You can see all those definitions. So from those definitions, you will realize that PR is essentially a communication function. I told you that public relations is a communication function because most of the things that PR department does is communication. For example, there is a crisis that has happened in an organization. Moto umewaka, umechoma kampuni yenu. The first people to get there is the media personnel. Na watataka kujua hii moto imetoka wapi. Na kama moto imewaka, utapata ya kwamba yule mtu ataenda kuongea na wale public relation, wale media personnel is the PR practitioner. It is the PR practitioner who will go and talk to these people. It's not every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Even if they come to you as an employee of a certain organization and they are asking you questions, kindly do not answer them. Tell them to go to the PR office. That's why even in government, we have the government spokesman. In short, he's a public relations officer of this particular country. So you realize that PR is a communication discipline. You're also going to realize that PR is concerned with establishing. You have to establish and maintain a mutual understanding. Mutual understanding, we said that it is an understanding between two or more people. And goodwill. What is goodwill? Goodwill is simply a good name. So you maintain and you establish a mutual understanding and goodwill between the organization and the particular groups of people. And you can see it is written in bracket, particular groups of people, just like I said, they are called publics. So public relations is concerned with establishing. You first of all establish a relationship. After establishing a relationship, you create a mutual understanding, and then you ensure that there is goodwill. There is always a good name, a good name, a good name. Why are we talking about a good name? Good name takes years to build, but it can take seconds to destroy. Very good example is Airtel. Airtel was once known as Kencell. After being called Kencell, its name has changed severally. It was very good, but now it overcharged customers. And that's why customers ran away from Kencell, and they joined Safaricom. Up to now, Airtel is fighting so hard to get customers, to an extent of giving you even a free ride with the free data, with the free airtime, something like that. So once a good name is destroyed, it can even take forever for an organization to build its name. So that's why we are talking about goodwill, establishing mutual understanding, creating mutual understanding, establishing and maintaining mutual understanding and goodwill between an organization and a particular group of people. And this group of people is what we call the publics. So from what we have heard from those definitions, PR serves as an intelligent function that you need to analyze. You need to analyze what? Trends. You are manufacturing products. You need to analyze the way those products are being done what? That they are being treated by the public. So in other words, the PR practitioner is the eyes and the ears of the organization. You see on behalf of the organization. Once you see on behalf of the organization, you tell them that this is what the public is saying about you. Then after that, you counsel the organization. You tell them now, the publics are saying this about maybe Jomo Kenyatta University. We need to change our way of doing things. Once you change the way of, why are we changing our way of doing things? So that the public now can stop thinking negatively about us. You see, you're trying to establish an understanding, and also you're trying to do what? To create, to establish a relationship and maintain a mutual understanding. So we also have said that PR is concerned with assisting organizations to formulate and achieve socially acceptable goals. Therefore, thus, achieving a balance between commercial imperative and socially responsible behavior. So those are the definitions. We looked at, no, this one we have not looked at it. Even this one is a very simple definition. Public relations is the planned and sustained effort of establishing and maintaining goodwill and mutual understanding between the organization and its publics. So if you were to ask me, which definition should we take? I will ask you to take the British Institute of Public Relations, this one. And also I will ask you, I will advise you to take definition by Jeff King. And I will even advise you to take definition of the Mexican statement. Once you get those three definitions, I think you will never go wrong. You will never go wrong. The British Institute of Public Relations definition is usually the simplest. This one. Let me put it in another color. This one is simply the easiest. The planned and sustained effort of establishing and maintaining goodwill and mutual understanding between the organization and its publics. Any question? Any question? Kuna swali? Kuna swali? I'm asking, is there any question? Samuel Marite, is there any question? Samuel. Washera Wajiro, is there any question? Naongelesha watu wanijibu. I'm talking to people, they are not talking to me back. Oh, it's because you see, you can see you are so many. I told you when you are asked a question and you don't answer, it's a rude response. I am a communication skills lecturer and I know what rude means. If you are asked a question and you keep quiet, that shows that you are a very rude person or you are very ignorant. Ukiulizwa swali unajibu, sio kuandika. Kama amekuuliza na kuandika, unajibu na kuandika. Kama umeulizwa na kwa kutumia mdomo, unajibu kwa kutumia mdomo. So therefore we go to something else called models of public relations practice. And when you talk about models, models of PR practice, you're going to realize that these models that you're going to describe here, or these models describes a set of values and pattern of behavior that usually they are characterized by the approach taken by the PR department or individual practitioner to all programs. So the model of PR differ from one another in terms of two key variables, that is the purpose and the direction. So when you talk about the direction describes the extent to which the communication between an organization and its publics are either it is one way, either it is two way, or something like that. Excuse me. Let me mute a little. So when you talk about PR, what we call model, sorry for that. There was a call that was coming on my way from the head of department, and you realize there are some calls that you cannot ignore. So I had to pick that call. So the models of PR they are usually four. And number one, we can have what we call press agentry or publicity. A press agentry or publicity, this one, most of the time, you can find it in the media. So the press agentry or publicity, its purpose is propaganda. Its purpose is propaganda, press agentry or publicity. Its purpose is propaganda. What is propaganda? Propaganda is any information that is not true about something. I think Jeffkin also describes propaganda and defines propaganda in a very funny way. It is any creed, something. If you go to and ask for that book, you'll actually see that Jeffkin has tried as much as possible to define propaganda. And for your information, I know so many books of public relations. We have Frank Jeffkins and Daniel Yadin. We have Catlip. Those who are writing, we have Catlip. We also have Sam Black. Sam Black. There is a book by Sam Black. There is also a book by Pin Clinton and Wayne Trapp. There is also a book by, there are so many books of public relations. There is also Institute of Public Relations. I think I don't know. Let me check whether I have that book. Let me check whether I have that book. A very nice book. All these are public relations books. I hope you can see them. All these are public relations books. Like we can have, this is Global PR. The best book here is, where is it? Is PR strategy, research, social, no. PR in developing countries. Effective public relations. This is a very good book. This one is from ICPR. No, is it IPR? Institute of Public Relations. This one is Institute of Public Relations. Let me see whether it will open. And this one has been written by Hensloy. Is it? Somebody Hensloy. Philip Hensloy. I'm not wrong. It's opening. Yeah, it has opened already. I hope you can see that book. Can you see the book?
I can see the book.
No, not this one. It's not this one. This one is not the one that I want. There is another one. All these are, okay, I don't have it, but okay, I think it is somewhere, but I cannot get it at this point. What it is that there is a book by Philip Hensloy, which is a very good book. It's a very good book, and you should go to the library. No, the library doesn't have it. The library doesn't have it. But in case you need one, maybe you can talk to me nicely. Talk to me nicely, I will be able to look for that book and give it to you. So we go back where we were. Tuongee vizuri, vitabu ni za muhimu sana, especially at whenever you are, especially when you are a student, books are very important. So we have press agently, its purpose is propaganda. We also have, when you talk about press agently, you realize that it is one-way communication, like the media. The way the media communicates, it's one-way communication. That's why it is purpose, it's propaganda, and that's why it's called press agently or publicity. Its purpose is for propaganda. Like when you're publicizing your company, you are saying we are the best in delivering. It is one-way communication. When you are saying that we are #1 in East and Central Africa, you are using the media to advertise yourself. That is propaganda, and that is what we call that is one-way communication. It has little research, if any. You're going to realize that little research has been done. We are the best university in the world. Little research has been done, whether you are the best or the worst, something like that. Then there is what we call public information, is another model of communication. and its purpose is to disseminate information to the public. Public information. Its purpose is to disseminate information to the public. Like, for example, you can use the media to disseminate information about BBI, the Building Bridges Initiative. We can use even the media to tell us about the polio vaccine that is taking place until, I think it is stopped. It was until Wednesday. I was able to talk to one of I think these people who are giving polio to our kids, and they told us that the campaign is taking 3 days until Wednesday this week. Now, it is one-way communication. If the government says something about BBI, it is one-way communication. If they talk about a campaign like polio campaign that will take place between Monday or Sunday until maybe Sunday until Wednesday, that is one-way communication. And little research or readership, little research is done, and readership and readability. Okay, we can say that little research has been done about that. Then there is two-way asymmetric. Two-way asymmetric, its purpose is for scientific persuasion. So two-way communication, there is two-way asymmetric. There is two-way communication, but you realize that this communication is not balanced. It's not balanced communication. When you talk about balanced communication, you are receiving little feedback from one. There is one that is giving you more information than the other. Like when you talk about its purpose is for scientific persuasion. Like when you hear of go and get what? Vaccine for coronavirus. That is a two-way asymmetric. They will tell you so much about coronavirus, how it behaves. Once you hear this, you're not even going to ask so many questions. Well, unasema tu sitaki hiyo virus, unaenda unadungwa. The same case with, it is just the same way. Its purpose is for science persuasion, scientific persuasion, and it is a two-way communication. Then there is two-way symmetric method. In this one, there is balanced communication. You communicate, I communicate. You ask me, I answer. I ask you, you answer. So its purpose is for mutual understanding. Like what we are doing right now. We are communicating, I'm teaching you. If there is any point that you don't get it right, you will ask me a question and I'll be able to answer you back. So its purpose is for mutual understanding. So, and again, there is two-way communication balanced effect. When you talk about that is that I will leave that place satisfied, and you at the same time, you will leave that place satisfied. The third thing about two-way symmetric, it is formative evaluation of understanding. So there is research nature. You have done your research and we are talking about something. So the reason why we are together is we want to understand each other. So those ones, you are going to look at it. Publicity, press agentry, you will read it in details. No, these are roles of PR, the activities and parts of PR. So PR is used for publicity and press agentry. PR is used in advertising, in public affairs, lobbying, and so on and so forth. Issues management, development, financial PR, sponsorship, etc. I don't want to go into details. I still have a lot of things to cover. Unless there is someone who is concerned, the notes will be unleashed immediately we are done with the class. Kuna mtu ako na issue? Nasema hivi, tujisomee hizi ni roles za PR from here, from publicity to advertising. How is PR used in advertising? In public affairs section, PR departments concern itself with corporate citizenship and public policy, and such are concerned to design, to build, and to maintain community relations and governmental relationship. It is also used in lobbying. What is lobbying? Lobbying is aimed at directing attention to potentially influence legislative, and very big people in the organization. Like for example, lobbying is like this. You have we have the MPs, or you have your area MP, or governor, or the MCA, and you realize mahali munaishi, maybe munataka muwekewe rami. So what you do is that you lobby for that. You meet the very influential people in the government. Meet the high influential people in the government. Convince them that you need your roads to be tarmac. That is what is called lobbying. So that is another, what we call another role of PR. Another one is issue management. In case there is a fire, or in case conflict is a point. No, when you talk about an issue is a point of conflict between two people. An issue is a point of conflict. The point of conflict can be water. The point of conflict can be maybe insecurity. So when you talk about conflict and issues, PR practitioners comes in between. They are used as intermediaries. They are used as what we call, what do we call them? As intermediaries and as spokesmen whenever an issue arises, because their work is to ensure that there are no concerns, negative concerns about something. So development, again, you can see Catlip et al. 1985. PR is used in development. It's used in development. Then we also have financial PR. And when you talk about financial PR, some people may want to, like for example, those people who buy newspaper. Sometimes unaweza kununua newspaper, ukapata Ecobank, wamejiandika pale, wamepeana financial statements zao zote, vile wame make profit for the period, for a certain period of time in the year, and so on and so forth. That is called financial PR. Financial PR also comes in whenever we have or we conduct what we call Harambee. A company like Safaricom comes up with what we call an activity, maybe called, they can call it something marathon, maybe to raise funds for a specific issue or something like that. That one, we can actually put it as financial PR. Like you can see here, let me read for you somewhere. So we can read the whole of it. We are saying that financial PR goes well beyond share pushing and is about creating an understanding between an organization and those in the financial community, upon whom it must depend for its long-term prosperity. So why do we have to put our financial statement on the newspaper? It is for our publics to see. The publics are the people who have invested with us, and also to attract other investors. You are trying to tell people that we are doing very well. Come and join us. Investors, come and join us. You are trying to attract investors. That is why financial PR is conducted. So such understanding may involve communicating the merits of supporting or resisting takeover bids. Takeover bids. When you talk about a takeover bid, is when a company takes another company or buys another company. Like there is ICEA Lion Group, it joined another company, and now I don't know how they call themselves. There is also another one, Aspire Bank. Aspire Bank is a combination of two banks, and so on and so forth. Those are called what we call takeover bids. So the reason such understanding may involve communicating the merits of supporting or resisting takeover bids, explaining companies' performance. You see, financial PR is all about explaining companies' performance against new technology investment and short-term dividend restraint. So in other words, that is how it is. Then there is sponsorship. Sponsorship, like for example, there is the Wings to Fly by Equity Bank. You realize that they do a lot of sponsorship. They sponsor those who have done very well in their KCSE, and they pay school fees for them for the period that they will be in that particular, those who have done very well in the KCPE. So they pay school fees for them for the period of 4 years in high school, and they can even proceed to pay you for your university's something like that, school fees. Now, that is a form of sponsorship. Why do they do that? They do that so that they can create a mutual understanding between their customers and those who are joining them. They also do that to attract investors. I don't know whether we have someone who has been taken. Maybe you have a friend of yours who was or who qualified for Wings to Fly scholarship, or who, yeah, something like that. You're going to realize that it also makes the community invest in them. Whenever you know that Equity does this, you also feel proud to go and open an account there, because you know they are doing what? They do something extra for the community.